Ramrao Penchalnwar is a farmer in the village of Hiwari, Maharashtra, central India. For years, severe weather and drought have been laying waste to his harvests. This year has been especially bad. His bean crops are a disaster. Ramrao tells us that there's no water, so he doesn't know how this will grow. It's terrible. The weather is so unreliable. He doesn't know when the rains will come. Look, this is also partially damaged. In some places, there are a few pea pods, in others just one. Look, he tells us, it's completely ruined. It wasn't long ago that Indian farmers were hoping to secure their livelihoods with cotton and soybeans. The government provided subsidies as part of its push for economic liberalization. But Indian farming is in a deepening crisis, one that the Prime Minister cannot afford to ignore. Here in the region of Vidarbha, more than 300 farmers took their own lives in the last few months alone. Out of desperation. The number of farmers' suicides has been soaring in India in recent years. Life in rural areas is unremittingly hard. Many, like Ramrao, are struggling. Every year, he has to borrow the money he needs for seeds and fertilizer. He knows he has no chance of ever paying back the loans. A fourth harvest in a row has just been destroyed by extreme weather. Three months ago, he couldn't take it anymore. He told us how he came over here, took the bottle in his hands. His hands were shaking violently. He thought, today is my last day, I should just end it. But there was too little of this poison here, and the other bottle was about half full. He unscrewed the top and knocked it back. But if these bottles were full and were consumed, no one would survive. They're that deadly. He had no solution, no alternative. So he tells us, he just swallowed everything that was in the bottle. He had a slice of orange in his pocket, so he sucked on it so that no one would smell the poison on his breath. Ramrao didn't want to die at home. He set off in the direction of the local temple, but he never made it. He passed out on the way. Neighbors found him and took him to the hospital. Doctors saved his life, but he's still plagued by a severe sore throat, stomach problems, and dizziness. Ramrao despairs of the future. Not only is he heavily in debt, his wife died 4 years ago after a long illness. She was lovely, he tells us. She was the best. See, this is how she was. She had health problems right from the beginning. She had asthma, he tells us. But in the end, both her kidneys failed. They registered here at a critical care unit. She was there for 3 months. The death of his wife made his financial situation even worse. Paying for her care brought Ramrao's mountain of debt up to the equivalent of about 10,000 euros. These days, Ramrao can barely afford to buy essentials. Prices for seeds and fertilizer are increasingly high. They're set by the multinationals, many of which have started cornering the Indian market. Ramrao is meeting Kishore Tiwari, an activist who's been campaigning on behalf of local farmers for years. One of his missions is to raise awareness of the risks of genetically modified seeds.
No, what is happening that chemical farming has damaged the Indian agriculture. But all politicians and political parties are getting the huge fund in election from these companies, and they are promoting this. They are killing the farmers. This pesticide is killing the farmer. Indirectly, the politicians are killing the farmer.
He takes a call from a colleague in Delhi.
Hello?
Another farmer has committed suicide. Kishore has to return to his office. He'll inevitably be asked to comment on the tragedy. Ramrao goes with him. The man's name was Gajendra Singh. He was 41. In the middle of a demonstration by farmers, he climbed a tree and hung himself while the cameras were rolling. Like Ramrao, he too was badly in debt. In the next few days, everyone will be looking to point the finger of blame. The farmers will be angry and looking to turn Gajendra Singh into a martyr for their cause. As Kishore says, over 300,000 farmers in India have taken their lives in the last 20 years. Ramrao tells him about his spiral of debt. He owes the bank the equivalent of 2,000 euros, private lenders about 5,000, and a friend another 8,000. Even talking about it makes him feel slightly better. Today he's brought Kishore to his village. The activist talks to locals about the latest suicide in Delhi. Many are disappointed by the current government, which swept to power last year. They'd hoped it would improve their plight.
The farmer who committed suicide on a Jantar Mantar rally by coming 1,000 kilometers from Rajasthan to show the farmers are in India, are in isolation, are in distress, and the relief promised by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not reaching to the farmers.
It hasn't reached Ramrao either. At least he has his daughter. He goes to see her 3 times a day. If it weren't for her, he wouldn't have anything to eat. She cooks for him and keeps him company. Anuja looks after him the way a son would, says Ramrao. He means it as a compliment. In rural areas, a daughter is traditionally seen as a financial burden on her parents. Ramrao borrowed money in order to help Anuja get married. Anuja was devastated by her father's suicide attempt. She tells us how bad she felt. He didn't tell her anything. She heard what happened very suddenly and ran to him, and they took him to the hospital. He told them he had consumed poison. She asked why, and he said everything is finished. He has so much debt and is so worried. He took the poison. Anuja is glad she found a husband in the village. It means she can stay here and take care of her father, so he's not alone with his problems. Today, he's fortunate, Ramrao says, maybe thanks to God's grace or his own deeds, but who knows about tomorrow? What if the moneylenders start giving him a hard time? That's what he thinks about. For the time being, the moneylenders aren't demanding their money back. But if they do, Anuja and her father will face them together.